Welcome back to another podcast episode. My name is JERiCK.
My name is Felicia.
All right, so the reason why we're laughing right now is because I did an intro right before this, and it wasn't the right intro. It's the intro that I've been doing for a lot of my other YouTube reaction stuff. So, yeah.
And then I was laughing because you didn't even say jivij podcast.
I know.
You just said podcast.
Because
He's like, I don't want to risk it.
I know, right? I was like, I gotta make sure it's the right podcast.
Oh, shoot.
But yeah, welcome back to another jivij podcast episode.
Yes, welcome.
Yay.
On this fine Sunday. It's Sunday for us.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's almost Christmas.
Oh, my gosh. When is Christmas? Wait a minute. Today's the 15th in 10 days.
10 days. Yeah, so a
Alright.
week and a half.
So we got like a week, next week, and the week after.
Yep.
Yeah. And then my child has like 2 weeks off.
Hey.
Boo for me, though, because I don't get it off. Darn.
All right. Weekly updates. What's
Yes.
what's new? What's happening?
For me, what's new? Couple things, actually. So I've been working out.
Oh.
Been on my Peloton.
You finally got on your bike. It's a bike, right?
Yeah. Well, I've had the bike. I've had the Peloton for quite some time, but I've been pretty consistent over the last couple weeks. I've only missed like 3 days.
Okay.
It's like, sometimes I'm just super exhausted and I don't do it. But usually I wake up the next morning. Like yesterday, I did my workout in the morning, which was really nice. But I also did it on an empty stomach. So I felt really like fatigued. Like I didn't feel like I was biking
like you
as
didn't
well.
have enough energy.
As much energy. So
But I feel like it's always, I think it's kind of good to work out while you have like an empty stomach. So you're burning more calories.
It's like the fasting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of, everybody has their opinion about it. I want to do like fasted workouts, but I just feel like I need to figure out a way to either better prepare for it or maybe like, I don't know if a pre-workout would help. But
It
yeah,
probably would.
I felt like a little depleted.
Sluggish.
Yeah. But right afterwards, I did the 45-minute run. The 45-minute bike, and it incorporates arms, which is nice. And then after that, I did 10 minutes of meditation.
Ooh, look at you.
But
Working out and meditating.
It was a guided meditation. It was very, very nice. I've been feeling very grateful lately and just very happy in this part of my body, like in my this heart.
Your energy seems a little different, which is good.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
In a good way?
Yeah.
Good.
I feel like it's just more, it seems like you just have a little bit more energy, I guess.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I definitely feel very positive. And I honestly also attribute it to that book I've been reading, The Untethered Soul. It's just been very nice to see things in a different perspective.
Yeah.
It's difficult. Like it's something that you have to practice and learn, but it's been nice to kind of even just try. You know what I mean? So I'm excited to finish the book, and then probably it's going to be a book I just kind of read
like over and over.
over and over again. And it kind of reminds me of The Alchemist. I don't know if you've ever read The Alchemist.
I've never read it, but I've heard of it.
So it's not the same context, obviously. But with The Alchemist, I feel like every time I've gone back to read The Alchemist, the message that I receive from the book is different. And I feel like that's what this book is going to do for me, is each time I read it, I'm going to see it differently, right?
Yeah.
Almost like with a new pair of eyes, because you're like growing. And then I'm going to take something else, right? So I'm actually pretty excited to kind of rinse and repeat with that book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. Is it a pretty long book?
No, it's not long. It's short, but it's one of those books where you shouldn't rush through it, right? It doesn't have to be a chapter, then next chapter tomorrow, then chapter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you need to put a couple days in between so you can digest what you've read, that's probably more ideal.
Okay.
Because it's a lot. Like if you're using that book to learn and
Yeah,
to
you don't wanna,
practice, and to
do it all
practice
at
what
once.
they're saying or what he's saying, then don't rush through it. You're not gonna. I don't think you're gonna grasp it unless you really take your time.
So what's kind of a brief summary of what the book is about?
The book is about I feel like it's understanding your thoughts, right? It's understanding your thoughts and working towards freeing yourself from like fear and anxiety and insecurities. And what I've learned from the book so far is everything that takes place, right? Other people, even your body, or what your heart feels, or what you see, or how we talk, right? Everything is considered like an object or a separate energy.
Yeah.
And so who you are as a person, your subconscious, like your subconscious is not your conscious. Like the thoughts in your head is not who you are.
Observing it.
Yeah. So like you're in the back seat, and the true you is the person experiencing all these things. It's the person that sees all these things.
Okay.
Right. So it's kind of disconnecting almost in a sense, and then looking at the world in a completely different way.
Yeah.
And kind of taking it in a completely different way. But I'll kind of see if I could find a really good summary, because again, that's my perception of what I read so far. But I would like to, when I'm done, just kind of give a full, this is what that book's about.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much I kind of understood what you just said.
Yeah. But right now, on the chapter I'm on is about freeing your soul, and essentially it's really about letting go, and we've kind of already touched on that.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like nothing should bother you, or like things are going to bother you, but don't hold it.
Yeah.
Because if you hold it, it's going to block your energy. And that's what keeps you like suppressed. Like you're going to bring yourself down and down and down. And if you're in the backseat, like if your little person or you, right, is observing all of this, like observe it, take what's happening, but then let it pass through you. Like don't hold it.
Yeah. Because honestly, I've been noticing that a lot too, that every time I kind of overreact, like let's say if something happens and I get a little like mad, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like it seems like I would react to it differently than how I would react before. Like, it seems like I'm kind of like paying attention to like what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
Even though like at the moment you're kind of like, fuck this.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
You're like, you feel it.
Yeah.
Like you're an emotional
but then it's like
being.
in my mind it's like, no, don't go crazy.
Yeah.
Just like relax.
Calm down.
Yeah. Just kind of, there's like two versions. Like there's somebody that was getting mad. And
Yeah.
then me telling myself to
Right.
like not be mad.
Exactly.
Which is.
And it's almost like the you telling yourself.
Exactly.
It's like you're telling this object or this energy to just shh.
Yeah. Basically.
Quiet
like,
it down.
Sit down.
Sit the fuck down. But yeah, no, that's exactly what it is. It's really, self-awareness and kind of tuning in with yourself. But then the other thing that I was going to say is this show I'm talking about, but we'll circle back to that, because then it kind of ties into
today's topic. Okay. Well, I guess my weekly update is I've been filming a lot of YouTube videos.
Nice.
Yeah. Not on this channel, but on my other channel, which is
What's that channel?
JERiCK Studio, which is a lot of my reaction stuff. Because I've just really been enjoying it a lot lately.
Nice.
I just had so much fun like watching to like new music, and also this girl group that I've been kind of obsessed about.
Fanboying.
Yeah, definitely.
Are they like your Stray Kids? Like,
Yeah. Honestly, I was like, I kind of understood it, but then now like, oh, I get it.
Yeah. You're like, wow.
Like I'm like obsessed with this group right now.
Yeah.
Just because they're so talented, and yeah, I just been having a lot of fun listening to their music. So I've been doing a lot of those reactions, and I don't know, like I've been really super focused lately.
Good.
I think it's like maybe this space have helped it a lot too, where it kind of separates my home and then my workplace.
Yep.
And yeah, it's been really good for me.
Yeah.
Honestly, I've been even like thinking about things like longer term too,
Oh, really?
on like what I need to do to kind of like do I need to just like really hone in on this for like the next 6 to
Right,
a year, like super focused, kind of like how I did.
Find a niche or Like, how can you sustain?
Yeah, like sustainability. Like if I do this like almost every single day for the
Right.
next year, like where is that gonna take me? You know, because I've been doing YouTube for like over 10 years, on and off.
Wow.
So it's not like I'm approaching this in a newcomer, you know, like a noob.
Yeah.
Because like this time around, I have so much knowledge on how YouTube works. I feel like I can.
You should be able to apply that to what you're
Yeah,
trying to do and like
exactly, like-
accelerate your growth.
Because, you know, like you just in, you know, let's nerd out on the K-pop thing. Those artists that you follow that you think is like extremely talented, kind of like in a perfection way, like all their music videos just like very polished. Those guys have been training for like 5 to 10 years before they even showed up
Yeah,
to like you know.
debut.
And then like sometimes like they don't even
Yeah,
make it.
they don't.
And
Like
it's
you
like
can go through all of that.
yeah, you can go through all of that and
Yeah.
not even knowing
Not
that you're gonna
be-
make it or not.
Yeah.
So like in my mind, I'm just like, It made me realize that things really does take time. And obviously I put in my hours. I don't know like how I would like accumulate it, but like I've been doing this for like on and off for 10 years.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm always like really just starting to get like to fully understand what this is. And yeah, I guess I just need to keep going, I guess. I don't want to say too much because I've also realized that maybe I should just keep things
Yeah.
on, on the low, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like sometimes, and they supposedly say this like about people who have like ADHD or like a little bit neurodivergent, is if we start telling people about our goals, then that itself kind of allows us to lose interest because the high was like, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And then you're like,
Yep.
you know, whereas if you don't tell anybody, it's like, oh, if I don't tell anybody, then it's like, you know, no one's going to know and it's going to be a surprise and I'm just going to keep doing it until I'm ready.
And also like I've also heard too that you telling your goals, just kind of expressing it, it gives you that little bit of that I guess that high that it seems like you're doing something, but you're not necessarily doing it.
It's a dopamine.
You're just like, you're just basically talking about it, but not necessarily taking the action.
You're all talk and no walk.
Yeah. But yeah, I've just realized a lot of things lately and I've just been super focused. I've been coming here every day pretty much.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
Video.
Because I know we got a camera here now. I don't know if you guys see it. Yeah, I literally come here probably like at 7.
Sometimes you're here late.
Yeah, I go home like 12.
Yeah, like I'm not spying or anything,
I mean,
but I get notifications and I'm like, what the heck is happening? But it's very sensitive too because if people just walk by,
Oh
it'll
yeah.
go off,
Oh okay. But yeah.
But good for you. I'm glad you've been finding like a consistent cadence.
Yeah.
That's good.
And I think I just need to, just like how I started like stretching and meditating in the morning, I made it like non-negotiable. And I haven't really kind of like missed it. I just kind of, even though some days I'm just like, fuck, don't really want to do this. It's just like my body, like it's like an automatic.
Yeah, like muscle memory.
Exactly.
You know, it's just part of your nature now.
Yeah. So like if I do this consistently for the next 6 to a year, yeah.
Yeah, what is it gonna do?
Who knows?
Very nice. Like that. Good updates.
Yes.
All right, so back to the show I've been watching. It's on Netflix. Hopefully I say it right. Pantheon?
Pantheon?
Yeah, have you heard of it?
No. What is it?
Well, I didn't know what I was getting into, honestly. But it's an animated show. I guess I want to say like a cartoon, but I feel like cartoon is like too childish. But it's an animated show and it's about uploaded intelligence. So there's like artificial intelligence, right, which we talked about. But in this particular series, uploaded intelligence is literally uploading
Your brain?
like your neurons into a system, right? And then all of that knowledge essentially transfers, and it's almost like you're infinite, right? Like you just live on forever, and everything that you've done, like say for instance, you were this, amazing surgeon, right? And so you had all this knowledge, and then that knowledge would be uploaded into like a data server, and people could still use your knowledge and like work off that.
Okay.
But then it got a little weird because how they were uploading, at least for one particular like entity, was you had to be alive while they uploaded you. And it's like this laser that like eats away at your brain.
And then you lose it?
And then you're done.
Oh, wait, you're dead.
Yeah, you're pretty much dead. And then they put you like in this, like now in like an AI, like an artificial, like almost like Matrix type environment.
Okay.
And there's a couple people that were able to like escape from their office, which is like this scope of like what you're limited to. And I don't know, just it was pretty engaging for me.
So this is an anime?
No, it's not an anime. I mean, there are some Asian characters, but on this.
So what you said is a cartoon.
Well, yeah, it's an animated show.
I'm gonna have to check this out.
It's Pantheon. It's pretty interesting. I find it interesting. I actually got Anthony hooked on it, but like mid-series, so he's gonna have to go back and watch it again. And then there's like I don't want to say too much if you haven't watched it, but I thought it was interesting to hear about the idea of uploaded intelligence. And it's almost like, is that going to be something that turns into something? Because we're on this AI.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So
it's going there.
What are we capable of, or what don't we know about? Because who knows? It's probably existed. I'm not too sure.
It's definitely possible. I mean, if you already have all this, like
upload your brain.
Yeah. We're only probably like 50 to 100 years behind.
My conscious, the one who's in the back seat, would not allow it.
We'd probably be dead by then, but it's probably coming.
Our kids' generations or whatever will probably see it.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. That's kind of weird. I feel like it's when problems happen.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's the show that I was watching. And I know last week we talked about artificial intelligence, or one of the weeks.
Yeah.
Right? And so this is uploaded intelligence. But today, since we don't have any real uploaded intelligence we can talk about, we're going to talk about emotional intelligence.
Okay. Explain what it is.
I have to explain it?
Yes.
Okay.
You got the notes.
I always have notes. I'm such a good student. You don't understand. The last couple of weeks, my brain is all over the place. Side story. See, look, side story. This week I had to find boxes at work, and this person told me several times what the box number was. And then I forgot. And so then I went back to her and I was like, hey, can you tell me the box number again? And she's like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And then she's like, you want me to write it down for you? I'm like, no, I got it. I literally just walked down to get the boxes, and I already forgot. And I had to call her again, and I was like, hey, I'm an idiot. I forgot. I couldn't tell you. All right. So emotional intelligence, EI, I think like the textbook definition is it's the ability to recognize, understand, manage, and influence your own emotions.
Yep.
But also the emotions of others. And it really is important in building successful relationships and navigating life.
Yeah, because honestly, it took me a long time to realize all that. I would say maybe in like when I turned like 30 or something.
Yeah.
Like before that.
Pretty recent.
Yeah, which is pretty recent. Yeah. So before that, I was just kind of living life, reacting to things without even, I guess, like without being really conscious about things.
Right.
Being aware.
Or conscious of yourself or others or both.
Maybe a little bit of both. I mean, it's not that like I'm just like oblivious to everything.
Right.
But
living in la la land.
Yeah. But it wasn't, I guess I just wasn't emotionally like mature until like very recently. So yeah, that's why I when you send me all the topics, I'm like, oh, I want to talk about this because
nice. I sent him a list.
Yeah. Felicia likes lists and notes, so which is cool because I don't. But yeah. Anyways,
So emotional intelligence. Well, it's interesting because I've heard emotional intelligence. I've never really thought about emotional intelligence outside of like the corporate environment, because like being in leadership, that's almost like a
Do they always talk
it's
about
like
it?
a skill building, right?
Okay.
Like it's important to have emotional intelligence because you're dealing with a team and everybody's a little bit different, right? And so you have to self-regulate. You also have to not be sympathetic, but you have to show awareness and care for other people's emotions. You know what I mean? So I think it really comes down to just almost like understanding and being familiar with yourself, and then understanding that others have their own type of way of, you know, emotions and how they deal with you know, how they deal with emotionality, is that a word? But navigating life, right? Everybody's a little bit different. But I never thought about emotional intelligence in terms of
personal life.
yeah, like myself. Like I'm thinking about it like, oh, I have to learn that for everybody else.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm not thinking about emotional intelligence as like, oh, that's self-awareness. And that was
Exactly.
like, that was one of the things that I read. And so like it says, one of them is self-awareness. That's like the first one that I researched. And self-awareness is knowing your emotions, knowing your strengths, knowing your weaknesses, and your triggers.
Yeah.
And to me, that sounds like therapy.
Yeah, especially
You know what I
the
mean?
trigger part is because it's so, sometimes it could be really like subconscious that you just get triggered for, you know,
Yeah.
like whatever happens.
Like a trauma
right?
response.
Exactly.
You know?
And like I remember first time noticing me getting triggered, which is like, huh.
What and so when you say triggered, what is an example of something that triggers you?
All right, so this is a personal example. So I get a text from, I guess, somebody that I was like kind of like trying to date, and then in the past I've dealt with some, you know, like I want to say shadiness, but
Yeah, like not so good relationships. Yeah.
toxic relationship
There we go.
basically.
That's fair.
And when I got a text from this new girl, it gave me the same reaction,
Wow.
like exactly the same feeling. And then all of a sudden I'm just like, whoa, like this is a new girl, but it's exactly the same feeling that I got from my, you know, my past. And that was kind of like the first, I guess, my awareness of a trigger. And then after that, I'm like, huh, if I notice that, like, what else am I getting triggered about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, hearing that scenario is almost an exact scenario, but it had to do with an ex and like a car driving by in that book I'm reading, The Untethered Soul.
Yeah.
Because it talks about, like, again, you're retaining that energy somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And so every time you see something,
just
it's
gets
going to
pulled
bring
out.
it up.
Yep.
And then it's just going to pile on. And now it's like distracting you from your present time.
Yeah.
And now you're missing out on life because all you're thinking about is what you went through and what this new person might put you through, but nothing's even happened yet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, what are you missing out on? Right? Man, self-awareness, that's hard. It's hard sometimes because I feel like not everything that you become aware of about yourself is positive.
Yeah.
Right? I feel like for me, most of the time, self-awareness is admitting that I have some type of flaw. And I'm not talking about like insecurities, but I'm talking about like an actual flaw in how I navigate through certain situations. You know what I mean? But therapy has really helped me with the whole self-awareness thing. And honestly, self-awareness has been like a repeated word I've been saying to my therapist for like the last month. Because when I talk, I'm like, she's like, oh, well, how are you doing? And I said, well, you know, I'm doing good. I was like, I feel everything's very slow and balanced. I was like, because I'm just trying to be more aware. Like I'm trying to understand when I'm stressed and why I feel stressed. Or if I'm about to get mad,
Yeah.
Why am I about to get mad?
Exactly.
You know, and almost like asking myself questions like, what are you mad at? Is it you that's like, what's the purpose of you being mad?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think it's because like when people react to situations,
Mm-hmm.
you know how like we just talked about like being aware of our thoughts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's like a split second that you're like, there's like a pause.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously it's a really quick pause.
Yeah.
Like you're paying attention to what you're feeling and what you're thinking. But for a lot of people, they don't even have that second.
Yeah.
It's just
they
like
just go.
they just go and react to whatever's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why self-awareness is so important, because I think it's gonna help you like not take things so personally.
Yeah, truly.
Like it doesn't matter what the other people are doing or whatever the hell's happening in your life.
It's like, yeah, I like that. It's like, what can you do in this moment to like almost like change direction,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I feel like part of emotional intelligence is almost like you have to look at the whole entire picture,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because when you think very linear,
Yeah.
you really block out other opportunities for other things to come in that could help you and teach you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so if you're not looking at the whole picture and you're very just like, I'm going to go straight. I'm going to go straight.
Reactive.
I'm going to go straight. You know, it's difficult to navigate sometimes, you know? And yeah, I really like how you put that, because I can definitely relate to that.
Yeah. It just gives you like that brief moment of pause.
Yeah.
Like even though like if you need to feel whatever you need to feel, if you need to react the way you need to react.
Yeah.
But just being aware of that is still a better step than just unconsciously reacting to things.
No, absolutely. And what I've been doing a lot lately too is I've been breathing, like trying to breathe through those moments, because like I said, this isn't something that you learn about and the next day you've perfected it. Like it's something that you're going to be doing this for the rest of your life. So I've had a lot of moments lately where I feel something coming on, like being irritated. And then I'll stop, I'll take a breath. And what I do as I'm breathing is I'll just quiet my mind.
Yeah.
Like I'll try to have no thoughts. And having no thoughts, I've learned, is okay. Like it's okay to not have a thought. Like it's completely fine to quiet your mind and just kind of take things in with your eyes.
Yeah.
Right? And not having something in your head every single time. And so that's really helped me self-regulate these past couple weeks. And I feel like in a sense, it's also made me very emotional too.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's almost like a healing journey for me, because I was so reactive, and I feel like I didn't really think things through or true.
True. It's true.
It's true. I didn't think things through, but I do feel much more confident now in how I do react to things. And I think like, unless you read that book, it's going to sound very like there's no way that you can get over that fast, or there's no way that you can think that way. And it's like, no, but you can.
Yeah. I mean, the more you practice it too, the better you get.
Yeah.
Because for me, like I'm human, so I do react to things and I get mad or whatever.
Yeah.
But I can easily just like get off that train.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember this week I had to go to USPS to like deliver a package. And so I waited in line. There was a shit ton of people there, so I'm already kind of annoyed. And I was like, okay, maybe I just need to like chill, right? But I'm still kind of annoyed because I was waiting for like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And then when I got there to the
like the person.
the person, and then they were like, no, we can't print your thing. Like you have to like print it, and then like you have to do basically, because I thought they would just be able to print the
shipping label.
Yeah, the shipping label, and then they said they couldn't. So I'm like, fuck, basically.
I did all this.
Yeah, so I waited 20 minutes for this bullshit, and then I was already kind of I got kind of mad.
Yeah.
Like obviously I wasn't rude to her. Or
Right,
anything,
right.
I was
But
like,
internally, you got upset.
Exactly. And then so I was just like, I drove to like get the shipping label because I don't have a printer at home, so I have to like get that shit printed somewhere else. And while I was driving, I was just like, fuck. Like just because like I wanted to release that because I didn't want to feel that all day. So
sometimes you don't want to hold it in.
Yeah, so I just kind of like, obviously I was taking a lot of deep breaths just to like calm myself down. And then like I've already said this in the podcast before, like you just releasing that kind of like fuck, you know what I mean, like just like yell it out. It kind of helped just kind of get rid of that energy. And like after that, I was just kind of like, all right, let's just deal with this bullshit. You know?
I haven't had any rage moments, but I've definitely had some like really good crying moments.
Yeah.
And then for whatever reason, when I'm like crying, it's like I just want to cry more. You know, I'm like, I don't want to feel that in me anymore. You know, I just want to get it out.
Yeah, because you're holding up your cry. It's even heavier.
Hard. Yeah, that's really hard. And sometimes you just need a freaking release, man. Like cry it out. It's okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Whoever you are. But one of the things, you know, obviously we talked about being self-aware and kind of recognizing things. So one of the things that I did research is kind of like when you're in those moments is looking inward and asking yourself that question, like why in this moment, like you're at USPS or wherever you were at, why in that moment, why did you get so angry? What made you feel that way? You know?
Yeah.
And just trying to like get through all of this and like try to find like the root, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because in my mind I'm just like, man, I could have been spending my time doing something else, but like it just felt like it was a wasted time. I mean, like, you know, it's a little bit of overreaction there, but hey, if that's how you feel, then that's how you feel.
Yeah.
And then that's the
you
thing.
Want to get mad and drive up and say that.
And that's the thing too, is your feelings, your emotion is just there. Like you're just observing like whatever's happening. So if you need to feel that at the moment, just feel it. But, you know, don't overreact and don't kind of bring everybody else down around you.
And I think that's part of self-regulating.
Yeah.
Right? So there's like a few components to emotional intelligence. So self-awareness and then self-regulation. And I think that's also like what you experienced when you drove off. You know what I mean? Like you had your outburst and then that kind of like brought you down.
Wait, what's like the I guess the dictionary meaning of self-regulation? Is there?
It's the ability to control your operations. See? My head goes to corporate.
That's operations.
It's the ability to control your emotional reactions and respond thoughtfully.
Okay. Yeah. So exactly.
So I guess like you were respectful in the moment, like you were able to like control it, but I feel like a level up would have been not allowed,
not like, feeling that at all.
Yeah, like no, not feeling that, but allowing that moment like in front of that person to just like pass through you instead of like going, like you held that, you went into the car, now you're driving crazy in the streets. You know, everybody's got to be scared of JERiCK. But I think that again, that's just like part of like that growth and that development, you know. But yeah, self-regulation is controlling yourself in the moment. You know, and I feel like that's hard too.
Oh, yeah.
You know, especially when you're very passionate about something or, you know, you're just in an argument. You know what I mean? It's like, no, I don't want to sit down and control and be thoughtful right now. I don't want to be yell.
I don't want to be nice right now.
I know.
Like sometimes
like the mean part of self-regulation.
It's like becoming the bigger person is so much harder than being that asshole.
Yeah. That's funny. And so it's interesting because you were talking about that pause and like that split second pause. Yeah. And so that's like an exercise of self-regulation is like before reacting, you take a 10-second, like you take a pause and you breathe.
Exactly.
Right. And I think, you know what, interesting because I have a child is I think that's a really good tool for parents. Or any guardian that's dealing with kids is before you want to burst out on your child, you know, in anger, right? just take a moment and digest what's happening and really figure out if it's them or if it's you.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's you.
Exactly.
And I've experienced that because, you know, you're just pissed off, you're irritated, you're going through things. And it's almost like that thing where whoever you're in a relationship with is going to get like the brunt of all the negative sides, you know, all the stress, right? Yeah. Because they're always there. So now you get to take it out on them. And I feel like sometimes that happens with kids. And, you know, I do go back and I apologize to my son. You know, I tell him I'm sorry. And, you know, I feel like I overreacted. And then I give him permission to tell me if I'm overreacting. Yeah. You know, because, dude, it happens. You know, and I should probably practice that pause more often than not, because sometimes I am like a freaking rocket.
You just like
before even any thought passes through.
It's like you're not pausing. Blah, blah, blah. No pause on you.
It's like now you can't even understand what I'm saying. It's gibberish, which I think does happen. Sometimes I like stutter and like, oh, especially when I'm like really passionate about something. Anyways, it happens a lot at work, but anyway, so 10-second rule, right? Practice that.
Yeah, that's a good rule.
If it's not something, so next time, you know, if you're in a conversation where there's like a disagreement or you're getting criticism, and before you kind of fire back, and I think that's what helps when you're in a leadership position too, is just giving yourself a minute to listen, right, to this other person expressing themselves.
Yeah.
And then pause, take it in, and then give your response, right? And then if you feel like, and I'm not an expert at this, I'm just coming at this from my perspective, but if you feel like in that moment you can't give a proper response,
then don't,
you know, walk away and just say, hey, we need to come back to this, right?
And
that should be okay too.
And hopefully you're self-aware enough for that too.
Yeah, that's true.
Because like you walking away, that is a big self-awareness, because you're not reacting to the situation.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's still kind of a pause, right?
Yeah.
Because like otherwise you wouldn't even have done it.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So I feel like it does, because it does kind of build. Like you're aware.
Yeah.
But see, you're aware
And you're
that
regulating.
something's going to happen, and because you're aware, you're regulating.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. The other one that I looked up was motivation, and that one I was like, "What the heck?" Like,
wait, was that part of the
I was
emotional
like,
intelligence?
I was like, how does motivation fit into emotional intelligence? But it says it's being driven by internal goals and passions, not just external rewards. An example is staying resilient and optimistic when pursuing something challenging. And so I think that helps when you know, if you're trying to go get, like if you're like a go-getter, you have a goal and you're trying to achieve something and things don't work out. So now you're getting frustrated, you're getting discouraged, and you know, you're having like all these internal things like boiling up. But I think if you change your perspective and understand your motivation, then understand the growth or the path, you know what I mean, that it takes to get there, that maybe it'll help you be less stressful or have less anxiety or be less, I don't know, doubtful.
Yeah, because like for me too, as an example, just me realizing that things take time. It's just me putting the 10,000 hours in. And instead of being impatient that things are not happening, I need to just focus on I'm putting my 10,000 hours in.
Yeah.
And it's just made me realize that if you want to be good at something, if you want to be great at something, you really got to work hard on it.
Yeah.
And
you do.
Yeah. And it's just like, damn. Just going back to K-pop too. Like I was just like admiring how good they are.
Yeah.
Like, you know the thing, like you would watch something, right? And they're like, oh, they're very talented.
Yeah.
And then they might be.
Yeah.
But then all the hard work behind that thing, you don't see that.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't even realize that.
Yeah.
That becoming an overnight success takes years and
Hours
years.
and years. Yeah.
And that's why it just, me focusing on that 10,000 hours, it does help me kind of, I guess, becoming
motivated.
becoming motivated and also like consistent, because I'm not giving myself that. I guess I just realized that like if I want to go to the next level, like it needs a different version of me.
Right.
And I've been kind of, yes, I've worked hard, but then I don't know. Like now that I'm really thinking about it, like maybe I've just been not working hard enough. I don't know. Like that's,
or maybe you've been working it.
I guess not.
Not in the wrong way, but in a way that wasn't really helping you progress.
Yeah, like I guess not as efficiently. I guess
Yeah.
let's just say it that, because I do work hard, but becoming more efficient and like work smarter too. Then
Smarter,
it's
not harder.
exactly both.
Smarter and hard. Okay.
Exactly. If you really want to like go up,
Do
like,
both.
Yeah, you have to do both.
That's fine.
Yeah.
You know, as you were talking, and I was like, oh, I don't like, how does motivation fit into emotional intelligence? But just hearing you talk, I'm like, oh, that's why it fits into emotional intelligence, because it has to do with like navigating life and still understanding like a passion or an internal goal, right? Instead of trying to search for things that like it's like give and take, right?
Yeah.
But in this case, you're just allowing yourself to give because you have something you want to achieve. And then I guess like the emotional or like the intelligent part of that is knowing how to break that down, which we already talked about, and that's setting like SMART goals, right? You piece it all together.
Yeah, and I saw this video yesterday, which is, I think it's gonna tie into this, of becoming like self-aware too. So this YouTube video, she mentioned that it works better for her to do like quick sprints than like long and steady. Instead of just like, let's say, for example, like doing one video every day for the next year, right? That's kind of like a slow and steady rise. But like she was saying that she loves doing like burst, and then she like rests and then burst and then rest.
In her workflow?
Yeah, in her workflow.
Okay, I'm thinking like sprint
No,
running.
I mean, you can even apply that. Like, remember PE in high school where you like run the straight line and then the curve.
Yeah.
You walk and then you run and then you walk. It's kind of like that. And then I realized, like, I think I'm kind of like that. Because I like going really fast.
Yeah.
And go hard on one thing, and then like
and then you get like I
get tired, and then I like a little break.
It's almost like you re-energize and
Exactly.
you're back at it again.
Because like slow and steady for me is just like I lose motivation that way.
I feel like though with the sprint and then the break or whatever, you just need to make sure you're consistent.
Yeah.
Right? Because you don't want to have a sprint and then your break is like 1 week, 2 weeks, 5 months.
I mean, break and burnout is different, right?
Yeah.
Like you gotta make sure you're like aware that yes, you're gonna go really hard for the next, let's say 3 months, and then if you need to take a break for like a week or 2 weeks,
right?
Not doing any of that, and then like you go hard again. So it's like it's different for everybody, I guess.
Absolutely. But I feel like I could relate to that. I like to just do things all together.
Right?
And then just be like, I'm done.
Exactly. Like, I'm done. Like, I need a break.
The next one.
I don't want to do anything.
Yeah.
And then
just like reset.
Yeah, exactly.
A little bit. Yeah, I like that. That's a cool analogy. The other one, which makes a lot of sense to me, is empathy.
A lot of people don't have that.
Oh, really? What do you mean? I feel like I always have empathy towards people.
I'm not saying it's you.
No, I know. But it's like, it's understanding and sharing the feelings of others. And I feel like for me, sometimes there's like a spiritual connection to it. Like I've always felt very like empathetic. You know, it's like if you're sad, I'm sad, or you know what I mean? Or if the world's sad, like I feel it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think in this case, it really comes down to relationships. Right? So your family, like your sister or your partner or your friend, right? And you're noticing that their mood has changed, right? And they're not feeling too good. And I think being empathetic to those situations is healthy, because then now you're helping them, right? And you're showing your care and you're building that relationship, right? Whereas I think sometimes in the other side to it, like the more spiritual side, I feel like to empathy is, you know, you just feel everything, right? And you feel things of like strangers, and that becomes really, really hard because you're not just focusing on like the single person or the people that you truly care and want to invest your time in. Now it's like, you know, the whole world is burning and you're burning too. Like, you know what I mean? So I think that's like a little bit of a slippery slope. But one of the things too that I think is important for work, like as, you know, just being in leadership, is also applying that to your team.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think going back to what I said earlier too, like, don't take things personally, because most of the time it's not even about you.
Yeah.
If somebody, let's say it's somebody at work, they're kind of, you know, being an ass because they're having a bad day. It's not even about you. It's, they're just
having a moment.
Exactly.
And it's like, sometimes you can't, they don't have to explain their moment.
Exactly.
Right? It's you in that moment, right? If you're showing empathy or you have empathy, like you're just there to understand and listen without any judgment.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And I think that's where things kind of go sideways, because not a lot of people have the ability to do that. Right? It's just to be like, I am going to be here and I'm just going to listen. Right? Especially when it comes to relationships, because you always want to like involve what's also going on internally. You know what I mean? But I feel like whether it's outside of work or inside of work, you know, because I have like a double life, it is important sometimes to just listen, right? Because not everybody in that moment wants to be judged, right? Because obviously that's a very emotional time. You know what I mean? And it's kind of like, how can you grow as a person to be more, you know, empathetic?
Yeah. And also too, sometimes there's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
As much as you want to be there for that person, like they have to go through whatever they need to go through. And you can obviously do whatever you need to do, but if they don't take it, then don't put yourself in a situation where
you're feeling bad now.
Then
because
now
you're
like coming in, like they're basically draining you because you're trying to support them in a way where they're just constantly taking and taking.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying, like where it gets really hard, like, is you stockpile it onto you, but you have no practice or way afterwards that you are allowing yourself to release all of that. And now you become lost. You know, it's like you're living everybody else's life and you're not living your own.
Exactly.
Because you're just taking in like all of these emotions.
Yeah.
Good or bad.
Because I do like being there for people too. But if I'm getting drained, then I'm like, I always say no. I'm just like, I don't feel like hanging out. So
No, absolutely. And again, that goes back to self-awareness, because you know, right? You don't want to put somebody in a situation where you're just in a poopy mood.
Exactly.
Now they're going to get shit on.
And like, I don't want to put, even if it's me, then I don't want to put anybody in that situation. I don't want people around when I'm not having a good day.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Unless, you know.
No one deserves mad JERiCK or sad JERiCK. I'm just kidding. No one deserves that of me either. But one of the quick tips, which I like, is practice active listening, right? Because communication isn't always about responding. And it says practice active listening, focus on what someone is saying without thinking about your response.
Yeah, that's true.
It ain't always about you. I'm just kidding.
It's never about you, honestly.
It's always about the other person. Get it. Oh, man. And then one of the last things is social skills.
Like
being a component of emotional intelligence.
Like, I guess.
Like building relationships. Like it's almost like you need a level of emotional intelligence to build relationships, which I guess is all part of social skills, which I feel like I completely lack in.
You think so?
Well, I think there's just a lot of things that I've gone through that has made me put up a wall, which I'm working on. But in this instance, it's building strong relationships, communicating effectively, and managing conflict, which you don't think about in social skills. Like you go into building relationships not really thinking about having a conflict with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not something that I don't want to say you don't prepare for it, because I feel like past instances you end up learning, right? But it's not in the forefront of my mind to be like, hey, we're going to be friends, but we're also going to have conflicts. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But that's just, I feel like that's just kind of, there's always going to be conflict.
I know. And I think that's where the emotional intelligence piece comes in, because
It's not, yeah.
it's like, how long, like if we're in a disagreement,
Yeah.
right? Do we want it to last more than a day, or that, or is it something that we can resolve right now and find like common ground?
Yeah, and I think it depends on the emotional intelligence between the two people, or whatever, how many people in there. Because it's like, this is how I look at it now. Like when I say there's always going to be conflict in any type of relationships, it's because everybody's very individual. There's always going to be some sort of, it's not like an argument, but like disagreement or whatever.
Yeah, because you're different people.
Yeah, you're different people.
Like you are you, I am me. You're not gonna, no one's ever gonna be alike. Like, I think even if you have a twin, you may not even be alike. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And sometimes that's the common ground. Like, it's okay to be different. And it's almost like we agree to disagree and then go your separate ways, which I understand is frustrating, because sometimes you just want a goddamn resolution. Figure it out. But I mean, in that instance, is like, is it worth all of this? Is it something that you want to hold on to?
Yeah.
And like the example that I have for the social skills is like, if you're trying to resolve a disagreement, try to do so calmly and oh my God, I can't even read right now. Do so calmly and find, that common ground. And I feel like that goes back to like the self-awareness and the self-regulating, because if you don't think you can do that in that moment, then don't do it.
Yeah, and also too, I don't know if you know, I don't know what the right term is, like conflict management, or like everybody has like their own different way of dealing with it. Some people like to deal with it right then and there. Some people like to walk away.
Yeah.
Some people like
Digest
need to like
it.
take time.
Yeah.
So like you need to be, once again, self-aware to know what you are.
Yeah, what you are.
And then what the other person is.
But then also have the emotional intelligence to understand that they're going to deal with it their own way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you need to know what their I don't know if it's conflict management, but something.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Conflict management. You're managing conflict.
Yeah. And you just need to be aware. At the end of the day, we just keep saying self-awareness.
Be aware.
Be aware of
vocabulary of the day. Aware.
It's definitely going to change your life for sure.
Yeah, it definitely helps, because it also makes you realize that, sometimes you're the problem.
Exactly. And if you're the problem, fucking admit that shit.
Stop being the problem. Just kidding.
Like, people need to take accountability.
Yeah, get over yourself.
Like, if you're the one that's, I've always said this in the podcast, like, you are the common denominator of all your failed relationships.
Yeah. I mean, I admit
there's a reason why those things didn't work out. Obviously, the other person has fault in it too, but then it's not like you haven't. So
yeah, and I admit I know when I've done wrong, and I hate it. I hate it.
So you have
burns me up.
Very big ego. You're like, I don't want to be wrong.
I want to be perfect. Well, you can't. Okay, you can't be perfect. It doesn't exist. That's what my therapist tells me.
Exactly.
Shut up. I'm just kidding. I love my therapist. But overall, having or practicing emotional intelligence is very important, because it's important for relationships, your friendships, or even in your professional success, like how you
sure.
deal with your teams, or even in this environment, like whether you work a 9 to 5 or you own your own business, or if you're a photographer, you know what I mean? Like building those relationships and understanding and navigating through the emotions is very, very helpful. And it also helps you deal with stress better.
True.
Yeah. So, which I like because I'm all about trying to be de-stressed, if that's a word, and just kind of it helps you make better decisions, right? You make more intelligent
because you're looking
decisions.
at things in a clearer perspective.
Yeah. And the last thing, just for the audience, is some ways that you can practice it if you don't. If you feel like you don't have it. And one of it is journaling, practicing mindfulness.
Like meditation?
Yes,
or like...
it says focus on the present moment, right? Because that helps with self-awareness. Reading the room, right? Because now if you're thinking about others' emotional intelligence, you're kind of like observing body language and everybody's tones and how their face looks, and you know what I mean?
Do you pay attention to people's body language?
I do. I'm very big on it. Like, if you tell me you're okay, but your posture or your face visibly does not look okay, I have a very difficult time understanding you telling me that you're okay.
That's interesting because I don't pay attention to people's body language.
Really?
I pay attention to people's energy.
Interesting.
So it doesn't matter.
Well, yeah.
I mean, they're probably kind of like in similar, hand in hand. But like, I don't necessarily pay attention. Let's say if I'm like, or somebody's like this, I don't take it as, oh, maybe they're uncomfortable or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, cause you know how like there's certain things that you do.
Right.
That there's probably like kind of like I guess an automatic response or whatever. But I do pay attention to people's energy a lot. So it doesn't matter if you're like so calm. It looks like you're so calm, but like I can tell when people are not having it, having a bad day.
Right.
And I can tell when people are happy, you know?
Yeah.
Especially like me driving Uber too.
Oh, that's probably
most
really
people's
good.
energy, pretty normal. Some people's energy, disgusting.
Wow.
They're not even rude.
Yeah. You can just tell.
Yeah.
It's a little
like I'm like
here.
this is heavy. This is heavy.
Wow.
Like they don't. I mean, like they was like say like, oh, like how you doing, whatever, right? And then I respond, and they just sit there quietly. But in my mind, I'm just like, man, this person's energy is so heavy. Like I just need him to get the fuck out of my car, basically. But and then like
emotional intelligence, JERiCK.
I don't take it personally, obviously. But it's just if I feel heavy energy, then I feel heavy energy.
If you feel that too, then I hope after you drive you kind of do some cleansing.
Yeah, I usually just like open the window and be like do this, just sort of like shake things off.
Good.
And it was funny because me and Chris Mark had this conversation. He was like, some people are just so good at hiding their energy. And then I told him, like, people can't hide energy. Like, they can hide their body language.
Yeah, you can hide your, like...
If you know, the tactic of, like, having good body language, like, you can kind of fake it, right? Like, if people are just, like, looking for that. Yeah. Like, I could be like this and looking, like, so confident.
Well,
like,
I feel like when I am looking at body language, I feel like for me it does tie in with energy. Because,
I mean, you pay attention to energy
almost
too.
Like it's like I know you're telling me this, but for some reason I'm not feeling that it's right.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And then if your face also looks that way, I'm like, it really ain't right. You know. But you're right. Yeah, people can hide emotions. Yeah, but you're right. I think it's hard to hide energy.
Yep. Like, I don't think you can.
Don't fake around us.
I don't think you can.
We're going to know. I called JERiCK out one time.
But just because I was like this? I wasn't really.
We were walking at the marina. And I remember I told you, and I was like, something's wrong. Like, something's off.
Oh, yeah. And
that's when he knew I was a cuckoo.
Because that was before that I was, self-aware. But, yeah.
That's funny. But, yeah. Reading the room. Yeah. Energy is perfect. I do look at people's facial expressions, and that's where I have trouble because I will try to not show my true feelings in my face, especially in conversation, but sometimes that does not happen.
Yeah.
My face has its own life.
Yeah, because like some people too is when you feel like the heavy energy, right? And then you ask them like, are you all right? And then people are just like, yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah.
And
Are you?
yeah, like sometimes
you
I
though?
normally like kind of try to dig deeper.
Yeah.
But then like if people don't want to talk about it, then I'm just like,
Yeah,
well,
just leave
you know,
it
it is.
alone.
Yeah, just leave it alone.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you have anything else about emotional intelligence?
Not necessarily. I think I would say, like, if you're listening to this right now and you feel like you need to work on your emotional intelligence, then please try to apply all the things that we've said so
Yeah.
far.
Yeah.
Because it's definitely gonna help you
Yeah.
like manage your life better.
Yeah. I feel like there is it's definitely something that could help improve something, right? And it may not be in a grandiose way,
Yeah.
right? But then again, that goes back to just being aware of yourself and what's taking place and, looking for those small wins too, right? Things aren't going to change overnight and become better because you heard something or read something or experienced something. But if you take all of those building blocks, right?
Yeah.
It's going to get you to where you need to be.
Because like those compounding like small wins, it's definitely gonna end into like a bigger win, I guess.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I do have something for the audience, but it almost kind of piggybacks. Yeah, piggybacks on what you said. But just kind of asking the listeners, what's one way you've practiced emotional intelligence today? And if you are so inclined to do so, share it in the comments.
Yeah.
Share your stories or reflect, or even like your perception or perspective of what emotional intelligence is.
Is.
A great way to end it, Felicia. Really educated.
With that note,
Catch you next time.
catch you next week.
Dang it. I was doing so well. All right. But really, though, thanks for tuning in.
All right. See you guys next week.
Bye.
Peace.